Mixins can be powerful when working with the Options API, as you saw in the last lecture. It's also important though to be aware of how mixins are merged with the options you define in your components where you use them. Thus far, I only have one mixin in each component, and I got no other options besides the components option in those components. Now you could add more mixins, but you could also have more component options. And let's say I also had a data option here in the delete user component, and in there I return a data object with some other data, maybe with the alert title, let's say. Delete user, that could be my title, and now I want to bind alert title to the title prop on my user alert component. Of course, we can do this with a colon and then point at alert title, which now is a data property of this component. There's just one important question. Will this work? After all, the mixin also provides some data. So which data wins? The one of the mixin or the one of the lead user? And if one of the two wins, does that mean that the other functionality breaks? Well, let's see. If I reload and I click delete user, the alert opens and we see that title, which I just defined as a data property of the delete user component. So actually, no data option wins, instead view merges the data. And that's important. This is a built-in mechanism. When you have a mixin, the options exposed by the mixin are merged with the options you have in your component. So for example, here in the alert mixin, I have this alert is visible data property, and by default it's false. Now this is merged with my component, and therefore in the end my component has this property as well, because I'm applying this mixin. But I could also add the same data property here to the data of the lead user and set it to true, which is a different value than applied in the mixin. And if I do that and save it, we see when I reload my app, this alert is open by default. So this means that my component option, where I set this to true, hence making sure that the alert is open by default, this component option overrides the option set by the mixin. And that's indeed how Vue merges mixins with component options. The component options win if there is a clash. By default, data is simply combined, but if you have, like we have it here, for example, the same data property in your component as you have it in a mixin, the component option wins, not the mixin. This is how Vue merges the data between component and mixin.